Alright, good evening folks. Tonight we're going to do a quick tutorial on how to properly do a deadlift. Tonight I'll be working with 145 pounds, and I just want to put emphasis on proper form, and especially if you're doing heavier weight, you want to make sure that you are activating through your core, that your back is flat and that you're not curving, and also remembering to breathe. So I'll do a few reps to show you, and then give any pointers as they come to my mind. Okay, so starting here, first you want to make sure that, I would say that your grip is about shoulder width apart, so where your arms naturally fall. When you lift, I suggest bending the knees because it's going to help to give you that extra protection. And as you're lifting, to give a good exhale. So you want to inhale as you grab the bar. You exhale as you stand. And I'll just do 5 reps.
What muscles do those work?
So, primarily you are definitely working the back muscles, the lower back and the lumbar region. So, right in this area here. You are also working this attachment here where the glutes and the hamstrings, some people call it the sweep. So you're working through the hamstrings and the glutes. And I say with proper activation that the entire core is working. So your abs are definitely on fire because they are supporting the back. You don't want to let the belly go when you go down. You always want to keep everything nice and strong. You're also working the upper body. It's the stabilizer. So the deadlifts, the trigger, the targeted points are the sweep, hamstrings, glutes, the lower back. But then you have all of the support muscles, which is the core full round. So obliques, abdominal muscles, even the hip flexors are activated because of how you're going down and coming back up. And then you have your stabilizers, which are the muscles holding the weight in place and making sure that you're safe in your anatomy so that you're not causing injury to the body. So I'll give a demonstration one more time of proper form, and that will be it. So
So how come you don't bend at the knees that much?
I don't bend at the knees because if you bend too much, then you take the focus away from the targeted area. So if I bend my knees too much, then I'm going to pull away from the glutes and from the hamstrings. Keeping the knees bent is a safety measure. You don't ever want to lock out the joints. That's one of the most dangerous positions that your body can be in as you're doing any type of activity or workout. So in this in particular, especially since the weight is so much, I weigh about 150 pounds, and this weight you said is what,
145.
So it's 145. So it's heavy for me. So if I'm lifting heavy weight, I want to keep my back, especially my back, as safe as possible. So I know that you guys probably heard trainers, adults, people say, bend your knees, bend your knees. So whenever you're picking something up heavy, you want to secure the back by keeping a slight bend in the knees. But in doing this particular exercise, also you don't want to put that extra stress and strain on the knees by bending too much. So again, you keep them soft so that you protect the back, but you don't bend too much because then you take the work away from the focus areas. Hamstrings, glutes, and the lower back.
So that's called a deadlift?
Yes.
Is it called I thought that would be called a straight leg deadlift, or no?
I mean, I think it has different variations.
Okay.
Because it is a straight leg,
yeah.
you know. I don't know how else you would do a deadlift.
No, because when I do it, I bend my knees.
Ah, okay. How
So,
much do you
but that
bend?
one right there is,
Yeah.
I think, a straight leg deadlift.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've not done the one with the knees because I.
Here, let me show you how I do it,
Okay.
and then you could give feedback on that.
All right.
Because I don't do this exercise often.
Let's see.
This is kind of dangerous. But I bend like this, so it's almost like a squat.
Ah,
So when you come like this,
yeah,
like you're basically doing a different squat than when you have it here.
yeah.
You see that motion?
Uh-huh.
But when you do it here, you're pretty much doing the same motion, but you're holding it here.
Yeah.
And when you're holding it there, you're activating the core and the forearms.
Yeah.
And you're working the arm muscles. Whereas if you put it on your back, nothing's being worked here, and the core is not being as activated as this.
Yeah.
So then it's basically like, it's pretty much like doing a squat.
A squat, right.
Yeah, so I do it like this, like that. But I never do the one that you just did. I can try that one.
Yeah. So just make sure you keep
Do
your
you
back
hold it like
flat.
this?
Yes, I hold it like that with overhand
So you
grip.
keep the back flat?
No, yeah, so yours is there, just like that. And activate your core. Take a deep breath in. Exhale as you stand. Yep. Inhale down. Exhale. Activate everything up. Good.
Do you touch the floor with the weights?
You don't necessarily touch the floor, and you don't want to pop up. You want to make it more smooth because, again, you want to safeguard those back muscles. When you do the sharp movement, and I've seen that before, that explosiveness coming up, there's more risk in doing it that way in causing injury, especially when the muscles get fatigued. So I'm not saying that it's wrong. It has its place in training. However, it's not the one that you would go to immediately. You want to make sure your body is warm and that you're strong enough to sustain that type of exertion for the lower back.
So was I doing it right?
Yes, yes. And then your variation is, it's what I've called a squat, and it's what I use for clients who cannot put the weight on their shoulders. So some people, they have shoulder injuries or shoulder issues, or they're just not comfortable with the bar going across the back of the neck. So what I would have them do is what you did. I would have them do the squat holding the weight, one overhand, one underhand grip, and having the weight in front of them. Now the challenge there in working with people who are not used to doing weight, first you don't want them doing heavy, but it's encouraging them to maintain a straight back as they're coming up in the squat, because again, there's the tendency for people to curve the spine as they're putting the weight down. And you want to maintain a strong straight back so that, you know, it reduces the risk of injury.
You could get back in there.
Okay.
So from my understanding, they're both deadlifts, but the one that you're doing is a straight leg deadlift.
Okay.
That's from my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and I guess going from the motion, because it's a squatting motion, and it's just, it goes from like how we were both taught and trained, right?
Yeah.
So the squatting motion is what you're doing. You're just holding it right in
'Cause
front of
actually
you.
when-
Holding.
when
So
the-
the
when-
deadlift, is it the hand position then?
It's the
back-
fact that you're just lifting weight off the ground.
And you're
But
not moving.
but actually the one when you have the wider legs, I think they call that like the sumo deadlift, because they're so wide. And then there's the deadlift where you're kind of more narrow.
Okay.
And then there's the one where you're straight, kind of what you just.
Legs.
So the
Okay.
sumo deadlift, the regular deadlift, and then the straight leg deadlift, as far as what I've studied.
Yeah.
But I don't do this exercise often, so.
Well, it's something that I need to do more often so I can get my leg curves back. Yeah. So that's it. That's my version of the straight leg deadlift with soft knees and protected back.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you all for tuning in.